right, now at this point, we need to move forward, and we're joining Mashallah Sisters. I call them Mashallah Sisters because they've been doing justice to the topic since we started talking about Hijab-Wearing and the Miriams, Mashallah. And today, they're looking at why the discrimination over hijab. Why? I keep asking myself that question, but they'll provide answers to that, inshallah. So, Hijab-Wearing is next on Barakah Sahur this morning.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Did you just want to salam to them?
Because I heard her say.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Hijab-Wearing again. It's Mariam Sauban, Mariam Sulaiman, and Balkis.
Assalamu alaikum.
On today's episode, we'll be discussing discrimination against hijab-wearing Muslim women in the society. It's a topic that has ruffled a lot of feathers. That has ruffled feathers in Nigeria, particularly in Lagos. It's not something that happens not just in Lagos, you're right, but in places in Kaduna, for instance, talking from Mariam's angle now. In Kaduna, for instance, it's
they hardly ever witness
exactly.
Like that.
So I remember mentioning discrimination against women in hijab, and she went, "Do people discriminate against people wearing hijab?" It's strange to her.
Yes.
And we live in the same country. You
Yes,
can imagine. Compare that experience to my experience or your experience, which is definitely different one from the other. In my own case, I have had
I can only imagine. Actually, this topic, as you rightly said, has generated a lot of controversies. Because women naturally are discriminated against at workplaces.
Just because
some
you're
job
a woman.
specification.
How much
and
for
all
a
that.
hijab wearing?
So now, when you're not wearing the hijab or the niqab, as the case may be, you would have to do, to go extra mile to prove
And even
a
that
point that yes, I
may
can
not
actually
even
do
just
this.
never be enough. So do not even attempt to prove a point.
Yes, just
Which I don't
do your
bother
best.
doing. I don't bother proving a
Be
point.
yourself. Do your best. Try to excel at whatever it is you set your mind or you set your hands.
It's actually not that these discriminations don't exist where I come from, but you don't get to see it happen like as much as it does, or as
Around here.
as damning as it is over here.
Okay.
You see, people back then when I used to, there's this madrasa we go to, and there's niqab, there's hijab and everything. They used to call us ninja.
Okay.
But now you hardly hear people calling people
Yes,
wearing
there's
niqab
awareness.
ninja.
No. They hardly do now.
You hardly hear
I remember
it.
when my mom
Then
started
You should
using
ask me, ladies.
Okay,
Oh,
let us ask you
it's
then.
true.
Because I recall
Because
when
you
my
don't
mother-
get to know about the discriminations most times, except if you start using.
Yes, that's true.
Except if you start.
That's true. I agree with you.
But
And then
this discrimination,
the discrimination becomes heated if you were
yes,
putting
sometimes
on
it
a
even
veil,
turns into bullying.
or just a cap before, and then you suddenly put on the khimar and the niqab. Subhanallah.
Even if gradually.
You will feel the heat. It will be so
Yes.
intense.
That's
It will be
true.
so intense. Not a day will go by that you will
don't
not
feel
neglected, abandoned, and when it first happened, I was in 300 level in the university. I wasn't even putting on the niqab, but I had, alhamdulillah, suddenly gone from the tomboy who wears sneakers and jeans and polo with a p-cap to a wraparound. The transformation was too sudden. It took people a while to get used to it. So my friends who ordinarily you would shake will come to you even with the hijab and be like, "Hey, what's up?" And you're like, "I can't shake." And what? you know, and then you have to explain. That aside, there were cases where classmates, roommates completely abandoned me. Like,
Yes.
no talking to you, no
I know.
using your bathrooms,
I know.
bathroom flip flops, no using the same cups or plates.
It was
with
that
you.
bad?
It was that bad.
Wow.
So
But
it
what
was
How did you
happened?
how did
Why?
you pull through?
because, in spite of living in the north, I was the only Muslim in my room at 300 level.
Okay.
In spite of living in the north, these are people who have lived in the north or who were born in the north. I came from Lagos. So
Okay, so the people that were doing the ignoring thing and the non-Muslims.
non-Muslims
Okay.
who felt it was too sudden or they didn't understand why
Yeah. So
I suddenly
when you
became somebody who would use a
they will
wraparound.
take you
They
become
felt
an
they had-
extremist or something.
That's the word. They felt I had become an extremist or a fundamentalist or an extremist who was taking religion too serious. After all,
And then they
there are
want
people.
to dissociate themselves.
After all, there are people from Lagos who do not even cover their hair and they're Muslims. And when it's time for Salah, they go to pray. But that isn't my
Why
yardstick.
didn't you?
It
They
took
will
a
wonder why you're not like
It
why you're not like that.
Exactly. It took me patience. It took me that courage to just abandon whoever abandons me up until when they understand that I haven't changed. I have only just changed my way of dressing. I haven't changed in terms of how I am,
to relate with
how I
them,
relate
what
with
you
people.
share with them, how you
so
feel about
I am
them.
still a good person. I'm still the kind person I used to be. I will play with you. I'll talk to you, but I will not shake you. I will not be close to a non-mahram. I mean, I began to take a lot of things serious.
So let's
and
take
therefore,
it
a
back
lot
to the discrimination.
exactly. So it became extremist in their views. And then it got worse when I started wearing the niqab.
So is it safe to say now that people that actually discriminate against the Muslim, as in hijab-wearing Muslims, are they doing this from a place of fear also? Islamophobia, like they put it.
Sometimes they do it from a place of ignorance because they do
Yes.
not have an idea what you've become when you suddenly start to wear the hijab.
Yes.
So it takes a lot of patience on your part to
And
show
what
them
year was that?
in 300 level.
What year?
That was in 2004.
And all this Boko Haram thing hasn't
Wasn't
started
even
then. So
in existence at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the Boko Haram thing started with people withdrawing from all the things they do, and yes,
To the extent that
So
even-
they
and
they thought I was
even
even an
for
extremist.
Muslims, they
there
stopped
was no
dressing
awareness.
as they
There was no
should.
awareness of these people until they started their
No
actions
going
and-
to school things.
Yes, not even about going to school until they started doing the bombing thing, the suicide, what have you, and that was when people began to make things add
Okay,
up.
tag
Like,
as extremist.
yes, this is what happened.
And it was
Person
because
But
the
you
person
know,
wearing
but
the
9/11
niqab was
already
tied with a
happened
bomb.
then.
And so when they
But-
see it, they're like,
So and
But 9/11,
and we can't say
9/11 already
this
happened.
yes.
And this had
But
a
then-
widespread,
Effect.
worldwide kind of
It had a
effect
ripple
that
effect
Muslims
across the world.
That you see with
Bed.
beards or with a three-quarter short or with the scarf or hijab, big ones or niqab are actually terrorists. You understand? Far beyond being extremists now. So all of these things have a way, and you know how the Westerners can be. Once they want to propagate
A particular idea.
they go way,
Along.
way
Look at the
beyond
term jihadist.
Yes.
We all know the jihad is a struggle against evil.
Yes.
So you can actually fight a jihad
They
against
have
yourself.
a
Like
different
you can
definition
decide
for
to
it
stop
entirely.
telling lies. You can decide to stop missing salah. That is jihad.
Jihad
It is
as
not
a
just
whole.
going to the war front. There are several other ways of fighting the
The
jihad.
times of going to the
So
war front is
when they
far
decided to
past
tag,
actually.
when they decided to tag the terrorists,
as jihadists.
no other term came to mind than jihadists.
I can only
And then
imagine
that further,
the things American Muslims or UK Muslims, like Muslims staying in the Western countries, the things they have to deal with, the things they have to go through.
Exactly.
Still in existence.
Imagine being called the
I think
raghead.
it's even.
Imagine
it's
being
even-
called the raghead for wearing the hijab in the US.
You can imagine.
How would your
It's
kids
even
feel? How do you
it's
raise
even
kids
better
there?
here than it is down there. It's discrimination.
Regardless,
thing
we
is-
still feel the, brunt of this thing sometimes. Our Muslim ladies in corporate organizations, when they attend seminars
Or
events,
interviews, or
in
job
schools,
interviews.
yes, job interviews, they face numerous forms of attacks, snide remarks, insinuations as to how dull they are, and all of those things, simply because they have
That's a
this
stereotype. So the stereotype that when they wear the hijab, they're not smart.
Yeah.
And then when you come in and then you shake or clear the doubts, then you become worried and find ways to keep you right on that. Because you can't be seen. After all, you're covered. You don't look like the rest of us. They try to put you underneath and try to make sure
and
that
somebody
you're not
will
seen.
go ahead to compliment you in their way. They are complimenting you. Oh, you're too beautiful to use this. So, yeah.
No, that
don't you
doesn't
think
work
you'll
anymore.
be
That
more-
was
Is
the
that a
day back.
compliment?
It doesn't work anymore.
They still do it, especially for people that are that find themselves in mixed gatherings a lot. You understand, and then they see how beautiful, how smart, or how energetic, and all of those things you are, and then they would wonder, and from the wondering, they start saying it out. Like,
And then I think some of these discriminations come from the people that wear the hijab and do bad things
With that.
yeah.
So when I was in school, remember I mentioned the social center the other time? I had a roommate, Christian from Southern Kaduna, who would put on
the hijab.
my Nigerian roommate's hijab
Wow.
to go downstairs to get a bottle of Coke. Now she's a Christian. She would now Adama's hijab at the time, Nigerian girl Adama, her hijab at the time was knee length. So the other girl would go out with the hijab with just shorts. So her legs underneath, and then when you come out with your perhaps
wouldn't
same knee
know.
length hijab, no, and then she goes to buy stuff. Some people actually even rub with it. But then you, who understand, or who is a Muslim, go out with the same knee length hijab, but with your skirt or something, or gown underneath.
Yeah.
They look at you like, isn't that a Muslim
Happy.
whose legs you can see, even with the hijab? Why are you covering everything?
No, and sometimes
And people
no.
do not understand that she isn't even a Muslim. She
Yes.
just wore it because she decided to get a bottle of Coke downstairs.
And then the issue of people wearing it, actually, this is not even a bad instance. There are people that use it, wear the hijab, and they're out of their houses wearing skimpy things inside. And when they get to a certain destination, you literally see them taking off the hijab. They take it off and continue from where they have stopped. Fold it.
Could this
into
be
the
part of
bag,
the reasons
or-
why more hijabis are being discriminated
or
against?
wear the hijab, go to the
Well,
market or
I-
into shops,
To
steal
some
things,
extent,
and
yes. Because
See?
I've heard phrases like Aburuma Boa, or phrases like, oh, what, especially in school areas, you hear, oh, what, this hijab that we put, like, we'll
after
take it
all.
off, and then that's what we're going to use to, have
Mop the
whatever
floor.
fun. Exactly. No, not to mop the floor. Like some of these girls, they use their hijab, and then when they go visit their boyfriends or something, that they put the hijab down, they lay the hijab down to do whatever it is they have to. So
there are
sometimes
places where they
all
look
of
at
these things
people
are
that
things
wear
that some
hijab
people
as
use, and then
Yes.
they use the same, gaze. They use it to gaze at you. They use the same perception.
Yes,
To
they
gaze at you,
consider
and they see
every
you
one
as
of you
a-
as one and the
what,
same.
After all, so that's the person. So it's really not. I know the people discriminate against one based on, like, we have been able to identify ignorance, based on fear, based on similar precedents also. That is things that have
Another thing
happened.
is stereotypes.
Yes.
Whatever it is they've learned from
So
the
how
parents
then
about
can-
Muslims
how
is what
then
they
can
pass to the next generation
Then
or
how,
their family.
how can we, as Muslim women, enlightened ones, or the ones that have been able to identify this as a problem in our society, how can we, sensitize people? How can we lessen the
Now,
Stereotypes.
fair enough about,
Yes.
about that.
can we
Not
do
that
about it?
there's no discrimination now, but I think it's getting better.
Yes.
It's getting
Is it
better.
getting better or it's a different kind? It's a different kind of bad stereotype now?
I think it's
No.
getting better actually.
It's getting better.
Yes, it's getting better now. People are, you see, at every point, in every field, even in schools, in workplaces, at seminars and conferences, presentations, people, hijabis,
More
they
Muslim
go
women
extra
are-
miles
yeah,
now.
Muslim women
to,
are
to
emerging.
prove, yes,
Yeah.
I would
Muslim
call it
women
prove
are
now because we
emerging.
know that
What
we
we're
are being
capable
looked
of.
upon. Yes, and then we know that we're being looked upon, looked down upon. We know that people do not expect us to excel, and then we want to tell them that we would excel in this. So this is beginning to, reshape some people's orientation, some people's, otherwise wrapped mentality about how a hijab is. Oh, have you covered your brain with your head? You understand, with your hijab. All of these things. So now they see that, oh, this is a smart as Muslimah, and then they feel like, oh yeah. Even some people want to relate with you. They want to be identified with you. They want people to see you with them. You understand? So all of these things, I think it still comes down to all of us as Muslims. We still have the bulk of the job to do to ensure that we excel. We do not embrace mediocrity.
Yeah,
we actually
exactly.
try as much as we can to also use our own deeds, not just by words now.
I was going to say
So
that.
promote-
Show,
Exactly.
show who we are. Look, the Quran describes the Muslim Ummah as the best of Ummah.
Yes.
And there's no other way to let people know that except
we
other
don't-
than by
we don't-
showing them.
Yes.
So by your acts, by your speech, by the
you
way
don't
you relate
expect
to others.
you don't expect to be this person and then expect someone else to see another person.
Yes.
Exactly.
You have to
Just
there-
because
there's
you're
ha-
wearing the
there has to be
hijab,
a
yeah.
reflection of
And the hijab is not just the dressing. I hope we'll look to a very large extent.
of
People need to
a re-
understand that
a
hijab,
reflection of
your character.
of wearing the hijab and the character.
the
They
character
go
has
together.
to. The hijab is not just the dressing; it's the character as well. You need to be modest. You need to be polite. You need to be humble. You need to be tolerant. You need to be patient. Really, really patient. You need to be considerate of the fact that a lot of people do not know what it takes to wear the hijab.
You need to be compassionate.
You need to be compassionate. You need to be-
sympathetic
you need-
to other
I mean,
people.
it's
You
a
have-
lot
you
of
need to be full of
things.
empathy.
It's a lot of things. And when we do these things right, the stereotypes drop.
Yes.
They drop. Okay, then you begin to hear comments like, oh, I didn't know that Muslims were this
Yes.
open or this
Yeah,
good or this
exactly.
friendly or this nice and all of that, And on that note, we come to the end of this episode of Hijab Sahur. Join us again tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
And on that note, we want to take some of the messages we received during the week, and inshallah, and especially from yesterday. We want to appreciate all our viewers who have been sending in messages. Those messages are quite inspiring, and they are giving us a kind of sense of belonging that you are really enjoying us. So thank you, and we appreciate you. We promise to be here all through Ramadan, and we'll continue to do the best here are some of the messages. MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khairan. Dr. Abdul Latif Abdul Hakim, I love the way you've been giving us 5 different languages, yet very deep, and the messages are clear. MashaAllah, Barakallahu fi. And that's where we're going to wrap up the show today. We hope you have picked not 1, not 2, but at least 4 or 5 lessons in all our segments. do not forget that this is the month of Ramadan, month of forgiveness. Seek Allah's forgiveness. Move closer to Allah with your ibadah, with your nawafil, and inshallah, you will come out of Ramadan a better Muslim. It's an institution that is meant to train every Muslim. So, be a good student and learn. And on that note, I say, Jazakumullah khair for being part of our morning. See you same time, same station tomorrow. My name is Jibril. Follow me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.